Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going. As I like to point out, in each and every podcast, it expands our base, which, of course, is our goal. I want to talk about the devolving of the Trump administration. Devolving. What I see as confusion and backward thinking, and I can't even begin to express my frustration. Let's begin with the major story this morning. That is the decision of the Trump administration to fire Maureen Comey. Maureen Comey is the daughter of James Comey, the mortal enemy of Donald Trump. Trump is determined to take care of Comey, but it turns out his daughter, who worked for the Justice Department for the last decade, prosecuting both the Epstein and the Diddy cases, was fired yesterday. That's right. She was dismissed. We don't know the reasons why, but clearly it is part of the vendetta, the revenge of Donald Trump. Now, the fact that the whole case of Epstein is front and center, and that Comey's daughter prosecuted that case, what does that tell you? I don't know, but I can tell you there is something not right. It is something that is going on in the Trump administration, which I find very disturbing. It's a devolving. It seems to me the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. And the question of Epstein continues to grow, even though Donald Trump says, don't talk about it. The simple truth is his base is talking about it. There is anger. There is distress. There is upset about what is happening with the case of Epstein. Now, Donald Trump has commanded his forces brilliantly. They've supported him no matter what. But clearly, there is a break in the ranks. But what bothers me is what's really happening. Why can't Donald Trump simply say, release all the information? Well, he has said to Pam Bondi, release the things that you think should be released. But we don't know what that means either. And so the problem continues to grow and compound in Trump world. And that's the simple truth. And then there was the vote in the United States Senate late last night, or was it early this morning? $9 billion in cuts. Now, the cuts to foreign aid, well, that's a real question because foreign aid is a vehicle that we have used over the years to really make a difference in the world. But what about the cuts to NPR, to public radio and public television, which we now know is going to happen? Now, I'm an old radio person. Many of you know that I got my start in public radio, broadcasting on KQED-FM, and then many years later went to KGO 810 and served for almost 3 decades as a talk show host. The support for radio is critical. Radio is what brings our nation together, and I believe strongly in maintaining public radio. Now, we know that the conservative Republicans, or the Trump Republicans, in the United States Senate believe that public radio is a tool against their political aspirations, that it is a liberal radio. Well, all I can tell you is when I travel the country, I know that wherever I go, I can listen to public radio. There are places where there may not be any AM or FM, but public radio works. And the news on public radio, I like it. I don't think it has a bias. There are stories that have biases, but, well, that's normal with radio. Heck, as a radio talk show host, I had my biases. But the argument is made, but public radio is paid for by the people. Thank heaven. Thank heaven, because otherwise there would be no public radio. I think that what the Republicans have done with this $9 billion in cuts, well, it raises questions, doesn't it, about communication. I know here in San Francisco, they are making major cuts at KQED. I just read it in the paper. KQED is the public radio station here in San Francisco. Now, I want to say a word about Ukraine. We've talked about Ukraine steadily, and we will continue to talk about Ukraine. The Prime Minister of Ukraine has been dismissed, and a new Prime Minister is going to be appointed. There are real concerns in Ukraine about the future of the country. And, of course, the Russians continue their bombardment of Ukrainian cities. There is, again, a need, which I talked about yesterday, but which I want to repeat today. There is a need to bring together the West, the East, Ukraine, and Russia. I recommend a Geneva-type conference, a Geneva conference, exactly, where the parties can sit down and work this out. The carnage is growing, and the debate continues. Let me point out that American policy is made by the President of the United States. And if something should happen to Donald Trump, the President would be J.D. Vance, who is opposed to aid to Ukraine. So what kind of consistency is there in our Ukrainian policy? And Donald Trump changes his mind periodically. One day he trusts Vladimir Putin, the next day he doesn't. And in the meantime, the people of Ukraine and the people of Europe are in trouble. We know that the Russians have aspirations in Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, and yes, Poland. And we know that NATO is standing firmly in Ukraine's corner. We also know that the president has ordered the transfer of defensive weapons. And we know that he is not shipping them directly. He is doing it through NATO. Yet it's simply a fiction. We are providing the weapons. Now, I've raised a number of issues this morning, and I know that all of them deserve greater attention. And there are many more issues, including the decision by the Trump administration to reopen Alcatraz. Yes, reopen Alcatraz as a place where people can be held before they're deported. Nancy Pelosi, the former Speaker of the House and the Congresswoman from San Francisco, calls it the stupidest thing she's ever heard. There are so many topics. I've just raised a few of them with you. But I know that in the next few days, we are going to be talking about a lot of these issues in great depth. And I look forward to doing it right here on Around the Political World with John Rothman. Thanks for tuning into another episode. I am John Rothman. Make sure to follow along. Let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which is, of course, our goal. And I want to indicate that you can interact with me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and many of you email me, and some even call me, and I'm delighted to receive your comments. It helps me focus on what you think is really important. And of course, to Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of Around the Political World with John Rothman. Thanks, Gogo, for everything you do every day. I am John Rothman. I will be back tomorrow with another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. See you then.